My name is Brandy. I still remember that fateful day when I sat at the kitchen table, the silence in the room almost suffocating. The sunlight spilled across the table as if nothing had happened, but I couldn't shake the words that had shattered my world. Your child means nothing to us. It all started a while back. For 8 long months, every Monday at 9 a.m. Like clockwork, I'd send my parents $700. It was my way of keeping the peace, of pretending that we were still the close-knit family I once dreamed of. I'd wake up tired, scrub my face with coffee, and then, with a heavy heart, make that transfer. It wasn't out of love, it was a habit born out of guilt and the hope that one day they'd see me as their daughter again, not the disappointment I seemed to be in their eyes. My daughter, Lily, was 6 years old. She was the light of my life, with her bright eyes and infectious laughter. She didn't understand why her grandparents, who lived just 20 minutes away, never seemed to visit. "Mommy, can Grandma and Grandpa come to my school play?" she'd ask, twirling around in her pretty dress. I'd force a smile and say, "Maybe next time, sweetie." She'd nod, her trust in me unwavering. My parents, Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, were a proud and cold-hearted couple. My father was a strict man, always expecting perfection. My mother was more calculating, using me as a source of financial support without a single word of thanks. They lived in a nice house in a quiet neighborhood, and I'd been covering their bills for so long that it became a part of my routine. When their car broke down, I paid for the repairs. When their electricity bill was due, I took care of it before they even asked. It was all about keeping them calm, because in my mind, that meant keeping the peace. Then came Lily's birthday. I went all out to make it special. I decorated the backyard with streamers and balloons, made lemonade in cute jars, and even rented a small bounce house. Lily was over the moon, her face glowing with excitement as she waited for her grandparents to arrive. "Do you think they'll come, Mommy?" she asked, peeking through the fence as the guests started to show up. I hesitated for a moment, then forced a smile and said, "Maybe, baby. Let's wait a little longer." But deep down, I knew. As the hours passed, the candles on the cake melted into a pool of wax, and the lemonade grew warm. The laughter in the yard faded, and Lily kept looking towards the front gate, her little fingers sticky from the frosting on her dress. Every few minutes, she'd ask, in a softer and softer voice, "Mommy, do you think Grandma and Grandpa are almost here?" I'd smile like a mother trying to hold back the pain and say, "Maybe, sweetheart. Maybe there's traffic." But there was no traffic, no call, no excuse. Just silence. Even after the last guest left, I tried to keep the party going. Lily sat on the porch steps, a cupcake in her hand, her sparkly shoes dangling. She stared at the road as if her grandparents would magically appear. When the sun started to set, she whispered, "Maybe they forgot." I knelt beside her, brushing the hair from her face. "Maybe," I said, trying not to let my voice break. "But we still had fun, didn't we?" She nodded, her eyes heavy with sleep. That night, after tucking her in, I sat on the couch, scrolling through the photos of the party. Each picture was a reminder of how hard I'd tried. Then I saw my mother's text, "Tell Lily happy birthday from us." That was it. No call, no visit, not even a proper punctuation. I stared at the screen for what felt like hours, then I called. I don't know why. Maybe I wanted an explanation, or maybe I just wanted to hear a lie that sounded like love. My father answered the phone. His voice was sharp and annoyed, as if I'd interrupted something important. "What is it, Brandy?" he asked. "Why didn't you come today?" I asked, my voice trembling. There was a long pause, then a sigh full of contempt. "We didn't feel like it." "Dad," I said quietly, "Lily was waiting for you. She made a card." Another pause, and then the words that sliced through my heart, "Your child means nothing to us." For a moment, all I could hear was the hum of the refrigerator and the pounding of my own heart. I felt my body go cold. What did you just say? I asked, but he didn't repeat it. He just hung up. I sat there, the phone still pressed to my ear, staring at the blank wall. I didn't cry, I didn't shout. I was just frozen. Lily's drawings on the fridge fluttered in the slight breeze, little pictures of a happy family that didn't exist. My hands started to shake. I turned the phone over and set it on the counter. Okay, I whispered to no one. I walked into Lily's room. She was fast asleep, her hair in a tangle, her cheeks still pink from the day. I knelt beside her and kissed her forehead. You're everything, I whispered. Even if they can't see it. Back in the kitchen, it was 9:07 p.m. The time I usually checked the week's payments. My thumb hovered over the banking app, but this time, I stopped myself. I poured the leftover lemonade down the sink, wiped the counter clean, and stood there in the silence, knowing that my life was about to change forever. I didn't sleep that night. I sat at the kitchen table, watching the clock tick past midnight, replaying my father's words over and over in my head. Every syllable felt like a knife, cut that I couldn't stop touching. The next morning, I decided it was time to end it. I opened my banking app and started deleting the recurring payments one by one. Rent, groceries, utilities, insurance, each one had my name beside theirs. With each click of the cancel button, my heartbeat steadied and the trembling in my hands eased. When I reached the last line, the automatic transfer of $700 every Monday, I felt a strange sense of calm. I deleted it, and just like that, 8 months of habit disappeared. 40 minutes later, my phone buzzed. It was a text from my mother. Can you order us dinner? Nothing fancy, just Italian or something. We don't have food in the house. I stared at the message. It took them only 40 minutes to notice that I'd stopped paying. My thumb hovered over the screen, but I didn't type anything. I locked the phone and slid it face down. I walked back to Lily's room. She was curled up, her small hand clutching her stuffed bear, Teddy. I sat on the edge of her bed and brushed a strand of hair from her forehead. Never again, I whispered to myself. That was the moment the guilt died. I realized I didn't owe them anything. Not money, not explanations, not another ounce of peace. My silence was enough. The next day, the phone rang. It was the landlord, Mr. Johnson. Miss Brandy, this is Mr. Johnson, your parents' landlord. The rent didn't come through, which is unlike you. Unlike me, I said, the word stinging. It's not my responsibility anymore. They'll need to handle it. He hesitated. They told me you manage their payments. I used to, I said, my tone flat and steady. Not anymore. When I hung up, I felt a shift, like a cord had snapped. I wasn't their safety net anymore, I was just a woman in my own house, trying to move on. At 10 o'clock, my brother Ethan called. Brandy, Mom says you've lost your mind. I laughed softly. Define lost. She says you're cutting them off. I am, I said. Ethan was quiet for a few seconds. Good. I'm done, too. I was shocked. What? You've been sending them money? He admitted, not as much as you. A few hundred a month for groceries and gas. I thought if we both helped, they'd change. They never told me about you, I whispered. Me neither, he said. Guess we were both paying for the same guilt. We decided it was time to stop. Ethan said, you did the right thing, Brandy. Just then, a Facebook notification popped up. It was a live stream replay titled The Truth About Our Daughter. My stomach turned. I opened it against Ethan's warning. On the screen, my mother was clutching a tissue, looking like an actress in the middle of a monologue. My father sat beside her, arms crossed. My mother sniffled and said, we've always supported Brandy through everything. But she's made up lies, telling people we're monsters who refuse to see her child. None of that is true. My father leaned in closer to the camera. She's been forcing money on us for years. She needs help. Then, my father held up a printed photo of Lily smiling in her birthday dress and said, "This child does not exist to us." I froze. Lily's laughter from the park, her little hands clapping at the candles, flashed through my mind. I closed the video, unable to watch any more. Within an hour, messages and comments flooded in. Some were sympathetic, some were judgmental. I turned my phone off. The house was so quiet it was suffocating. Ethan texted me later, "Don't post anything. Let them choke on their own words." I followed his advice. By evening, the video had spread through our small town. Their church friends shared it with prayer hand emojis, and others commented, "What kind of grandparents say that?" The next morning, Mr. Johnson texted again. "They've been told to vacate in 30 days. I'm sorry it came to this." I didn't reply. Justice was finally being served. 2 days later, my cousin, Mia, called, her voice shaking with anger. "They're at the family reunion. Can you believe it? They weren't even invited, but they showed up trying to get sympathy." I frowned. "I'm done pretending," I said. Mia said, "You might want to check Facebook later." Then she hung up. An hour later, I did. There was a grainy video of the reunion. My parents were in the middle of a group of relatives, my mother pleading, "No matter what Brandy's told you, we love her. And that poor child, she's confused." Mia's voice cut in sharply. "Before or after you said her kid doesn't exist?" She held up her phone, and my father's voice boomed from the speaker, "Your child means nothing to us." There were gasps all around. My mother froze, and my father's face turned pale. Uncle Tom stood up slowly and said, "If that's how you treat your granddaughter, you don't belong here." They left without a word, their heads down. I watched the clip 3 times, then set the phone down and let out a quiet, shaking laugh. It was a laugh of release. Ethan called that evening. "You saw it?" "I did," I said. "They humiliated themselves," he said. "Finally," I said softly. "And I didn't have to do a thing." "Sometimes the truth handles itself," he murmured. That night, I sat by Lily's bed as she slept, her hand wrapped around Teddy. For the first time in months, my chest didn't ache. I listened to the sound of the rain outside and thought about all the Monday mornings I'd wasted trying to buy love. I opened my laptop and checked the payment history. 8 months of payments, line after line of completed transactions. I scrolled to the end and whispered, "Not anymore." The next morning, the headlines in our small town Facebook group were brutal. Church couple exposed for disowning grandchild. The comments were merciless. By noon, their church deleted their photos from the website, and the landlord changed the locks. Their supporters went quiet. I didn't post anything. I didn't celebrate. I simply took Lily to the park. She drew stars on the sidewalk and said, "Mommy, this one's for Uncle Ethan." The air smelled like rain and chalk dust. Her laughter was so pure it made my heart ache in a good way. When we got home, there was an envelope in the mailbox. Inside was a note from Aunt Grace, "They chose pride over love. You chose your child. That's what family's supposed to look like." That night, as I tucked Lily into bed, she yawned and asked, "Mommy, can Grandma and Grandpa come next year?" I hesitated, then said, "No, baby. They won't be coming anymore." She nodded thoughtfully. "That's okay. We can invite Uncle Ethan instead." I smiled and brushed the hair from her cheek. "Yes, sweetheart. That sounds perfect." When I turned off the light, the room was quiet, but it was a peaceful quiet. It was earned. In the following weeks, everything felt quieter. The constant pings and messages faded into a dull hum. My parents had disappeared from social media, their profiles wiped clean. Their church released a statement about family healing, but we all knew what it meant. I didn't feel victorious. I felt free. The kind of freedom that lets you breathe in the morning sunlight. Lily was humming at the breakfast table, spreading jelly on her toast, completely unaware of the storm that had passed. Ethan stopped by that weekend with groceries and a big smile. "You look lighter," he said. "Maybe I am," I replied. We drove to Aunt Grace's for Sunday lunch. The lemon pie was cooling on the counter, and sunlight was pouring through the lace curtains. She hugged Lily first, then me. "Peace looks good on you, Brandy," she said. Over lunch, she talked about boundaries, about how love without respect isn't love at all. I listened, really listened, and for the first time, I believed it. Later, while Lily was coloring at the table, Aunt Grace slipped an envelope into my hand. "For when you forget why you stopped." Inside was a single line: "Kindness with boundaries is strength." That night, I watched Lily sleep and realized that the silence in our home was no longer a punishment. It was protection. I stood by Lily's door, watching her chest rise and fall in the soft glow of the night light. For the first time in years, I didn't dread tomorrow. I didn't owe anyone peace but us. My parents had chosen pride. I chose freedom. And that choice was the loudest revenge I could ever give. If you've ever had to walk away to protect your peace, you're not alone. Share your story below, and don't forget to subscribe for the next one.